Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have a very interesting segment. We'll be talking with Lisa Smith of Marketing, Mindset, and Manifesting. And I am very anxious to have this interview.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as well, Rory.
And we had a wonderful conversation on the phone, and you are involved in a lot of things that I find extremely interesting. Why don't you give us an overview to start with? That's quite a tongue twister there, marketing, mindset, and manifesting. That's a big order.
Great. Yes, well, Marketing, Mindset, and Manifesting is a division of my parent company, Life by Design LLC, and we focus on business coaching, teaching the practical, the psychological, and even sometimes the spiritual aspects of growing a successful business.
Okay, all right, and let's kind of I'll tell you what, we're going to go to each one of those, each one of those categories. But let's just start. How did you come about doing this?
Doing the marketing mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, so my degree is in marketing, and I was in marketing for many years in Boston, and then eventually I transitioned into doing personal development work, which I'd been studying on my own for many years, and became trained as a hypnotherapist and just kind of did that for fun. And then I started working with people and got certified as a hypnotherapist. And after I moved to Virginia, I made that transition from doing the marketing to working full-time for a hypnosis clinic. And so I worked for them for about 8 years, and when they closed here in the area, I went out on my own and I started my own wellness coaching and hypnotherapy practice. And that was where Life by Design was born. And over the past, well, it's been 7 years now at the end of November. Over that time, I had to learn a lot about running a business because I was really good at what I did, but I didn't have a business training. And even though I had marketing training and education, it was very different from what I learned in college and working with myself. And so it was a struggle for the first 3 years until I finally kind of had all those pieces coming together and incorporated in the personal development stuff with myself and along with the practical aspects. And then as I was doing networking with other business owners, I realized that a lot of them were in the same boat. They were really good at what they did, great practitioners, but they didn't have a business background and they were really struggling like I once had. And so since I kind of figured it out and I recognized that other people were struggling, I decided to share my experience. And first I was just doing it here and there, sharing tips with people, and then I realized, well, you know, people really need something more in depth, and I know what I'm doing and I'm making good money with it now. So I decided to develop this new division of my company, which is the Marketing, Mindset, and Manifesting.
Okay, well, I know that mindset is incredibly important in anything that you're doing because you're going about it with the right attitude. I think as Henry Ford said that if you kind of paraphrasing something about if you think you
whether
can't,
you think you can, you
you're
can.
right,
If you
you
think
can't.
you can't, you can't.
Yeah.
Right.
So you know, so that, and we were talking before this interview. Earl Nightingale was famous for his The Strangest Secret recording, which was basically you become what you think about.
Right.
All right. So you help business owners get in the right mindset and also with practical ways to help them manage their business, run their business.
Right.
And this is stuff you've learned also through your experience. And there's a book I read early on called The E-Myth, which talks about a lot of people getting in business because they do something they like to do, and they get in there because that's what they want to do, and then they find out there's all this other stuff in business. It's crazy.
Crap, why can't I just do what I love to do, right?
Like myself, I like to shoot, I like to edit, I like to do that, but then there's the accounting and the taxes and it's just the employees.
Sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing, everything. And so it's overwhelming. So a lot of businesses need help in a lot of different areas. So that's very interesting. And so you become somewhat of a business coach? Okay, all right. Okay, so now when people hear on your title, Marketing, Mindset, Manifesting, I think people understand marketing and I think they probably understand mindset. Well, you got to be in the right
bit.
frame of mind. You know, I mean, they can kind of get their head around that. But when you say manifesting, okay, I think that some people get it, and other people have a wrong idea. Some people don't, and some people don't get it. Okay, so because of the movie The Secret here in the last few years, I think the word manifesting has come up. Law of attraction has come up a lot. And can you clarify what you mean with manifesting? Can you clarify just a little bit about the law of attraction of what you're talking? I mean, it's not like you think, I want a car, and bam, you got a car.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't work that way. But, and I know it's a deep subject and can be very complex, but there is scientific reason for it. This is not woo-woo stuff. There is a reason for this. And can you clarify that? Certainly better than me.
in a condensed form.
Yes, in a condensed form.
Well, basically, it's being really clear about what you want and setting the intention. And what that does is it creates, well, a couple of things. First of all, it creates an energy for expectation. Okay, and you set a vibration. So it's essentially, again, what you focus on, you create or you expand. And so what most people do, they're really good. Everybody's a great manifester. So you're bringing into your life exactly what you're focusing on. Most people are focusing on what they don't like, what they don't want, and lo and behold, they keep getting that. They keep staying stuck in the same pattern, creating the same kind of situations for themselves. That's what manifesting is. And so what I do is I help people to purposely manifest what they want instead of what they don't want and change those patterns. So there's a vibration to that and setting your intention. The other thing, again, going back to brain science, is there is a part of our brain called the reticular activator. Okay, and most people are programming that part of our brain unconsciously. And the role of the reticular activator is to be a filter, because there's so much stimulus going on around us all the time, we can't pay attention to everything. So our conscious mind has to try and figure out what's important to us, what to pay attention to, what's important for keeping us safe, but also what's important to us as far as our values and goals and what we're looking for. So when you purposely manifest, you focus on what it is that you want, and you're programming that reticular activator so that you become more aware of what's already been there in the first place, but you might have been filtering out because it wasn't programmed as something important to you. And an example that most people can identify with is something like, you just bought a new car, right? Or you're thinking about buying this particular car, and suddenly you see it everywhere, right? Or you become pregnant, or you're wanting to become pregnant, and you're seeing pregnant women everywhere. Okay? It's not that they weren't there before it became important to you. Right. It was that they were there, but you were filtering it out.
Right.
And so as you purposefully focus on what you want, naturally you're going to notice more of the things that are in alignment with that. You're going to notice the opportunities, the resources. People will seem to be coming into your field of awareness who are in alignment with helping you to achieve your goal or get what you want.
And I've been doing that for years, and I work with some other business owners. I've been teaching that as well for a long time. And that's exactly the two examples I used. Maybe we talked on the phone. But the two examples I used is pregnant woman and car, because those happened to me.
Well, not the pregnant woman thing.
Well,
right?
yes. When my wife became pregnant, I started seeing pregnant women all over the place. And when I wanted my car that I have now, I started seeing them all over the place. And they were always there, like you said. So, but if you are focusing on a goal, all of a sudden you'll find ways coming at you that were probably there. You just never even saw them. Right. Things seem to be popping up, and you seem to be attracting that. And whether you're actually attracting it or not, I don't know, but they do seem to pop up, so that's the main thing. Let's talk about one other term you mentioned. You mentioned hypnotherapist. So the reason I'm doing this is I think some people have some misconceptions about things. When a lot of people think about hypnotist, they think about the Las Vegas hypnotist. You're going to get you squawking like a chicken or something.
Right.
Okay. Can you talk about what you do with hypnotherapy?
Sure. Well, hypnosis is simply an altered state of awareness, and it's a natural state that we go into and out of every single day. Anytime we get very lost in our thoughts, we become very focused on something and tune other things out around us. Those are all hypnotic states. And driving down the road, most people have experienced that, driving down a road, either a very straight road where there's not a lot to pay attention to and they kind of zone out, or a very familiar route and they're just kind of, they go into autopilot and, driving before they know it, they're, at their destination and they don't remember half the trip, right? So that's all the hypnosis is this altered state of hyper-awareness. And when we go into that state, we go into a different level of the brain. So there's 4 levels, the beta, alpha, theta, and delta levels. Beta is the wide awake, alert, conscious state. Delta is the deep sleep state. In between those two are alpha and theta. And those are the levels where we learn and absorb information much more easily. And in fact, when we're children, we are mostly in the alpha and the theta levels of our brain, which is what allows us as children to learn so much information so quickly. And eventually, we start to develop more of the beta level, the conscious mind. And that happens because actually areas of the brain are developing as we're aging. So when we're young, certain areas of our brain have not been developed, so we don't have that ability to judge or reason. So everything that we're taking in we're just like sponges, taking in everything as fact and truth. And then it gets programmed there. And then we start to operate off of that. And unfortunately, we don't really have good filters, so everything that's in there is firmly in place. And when we're trying to make changes to how we think and how we're acting, most people try to do it at the conscious level, which is why it's so limiting. It's temporary usually, or it takes a long time, or it's very hard. So where the belief that change is hard and takes a long time comes from, because most people are trying to do it at a conscious level. We really need to go to where those programs, those earlier programs,
because those programs, the programs in the subconscious mind are just running these programs all the time. And those programs were established at age 5 or 6 or whatever.
Most of our programs and beliefs are established by about age 7.
Right.
So most of us are like 7-year-olds operating
right,
as
right,
adults.
Right, yeah.
And so what hypnosis does is it helps you to move to the alpha and theta levels of the brain to receive information. And sometimes we extract information in the hypnotic state, but most of what I do is just receiving information.
So you're reprogramming
exactly.
those tapes.
Exactly. So changing
like
out the old. Right. Changing out the old, putting in the new, but in a way that the brain is much more receptive, because you're not in the filtering conscious mind. The job of the conscious mind is to filter, judge, and evaluate. Subconscious doesn't have the ability to judge and evaluate. It just absorbs information unconditionally.
Right. So subconscious doesn't know what's right, what's true or not true,
exactly.
or whatever.
It doesn't know
care.
the difference between real and imagined.
Right.
And so everything gets stored as real. And so, again, with hypnosis, what we do is we just help the brain to get into that receptive state of alpha and even theta, and receive information to replace the old files with new information.
Now, is this something that you would use like with business owners to help them, let's say, overcome maybe fear of talking to people? Or?
Yes. So I'll either do personalized hypnosis with my clients, or sometimes I'll give them pre-recorded hypnosis on different topics. So becoming a sales superstar, making sales calls fun, and being able to be more confident in doing them. That's one of the biggest things that I work with my business owners, is what we call call reluctance. Making those follow-up calls, even to clients that have or prospects who have said, "I'm interested in this. Can you give me a call?" And they still have a hard time calling, with old ideas and fears like, oh, they're going to think I'm bothering them, they're going to think I'm desperate for business, So, I help them get over that call reluctance.
More sales books have been sold on that, to fix that problem.
Right. And there's some other techniques I also use to help them with that call reluctance that work really, really well.
Can you give us some success stories? Just a couple that would kind of illustrate what you're talking about, how you work with business owners?
Sure. Let's see. There was one client I had. She was an intuitive healer, and she was actually in Tanzania, so I work with people all over, thanks to Skype and the internet. So she had a really hard time with marketing and understanding marketing, and she was afraid of marketing herself or promoting herself. There were ideas that it was wrong to be boastful, and she, again, she had these limiting beliefs or fears around talking to people about what she did and asking for the business and asking for money. And so we did some hypnosis, we did some EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, it's like needleless acupuncture. So basically teaching people how to do acupressure on themselves to change the way that the brain is thinking and the emotions.
Fascinating topic.
Yes. And so after just a few sessions, she was really feeling confident in making the calls. She started to get clients, started to make more money with her business. So that's an example. And another fellow, he owns a computer company in the area, computer service, and he had a hard time also with making phone calls. And so I did a couple of these techniques with him, and then he actually was excited to make the calls. He said, I can't believe I'm feeling excited to make these calls.
Right.
And of course, when he was excited making the calls, how do you think he came across to the people on the other end?
Right.
Much more favorably. And so he had a better response too from the calls that he was doing because he was in a positive mind frame and a positive energy.
Right. Well, I can identify with those with the example of the phone calls, because that was incredibly hard for me to get over too.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of business owners, they just can't get past it.
Right.
So and a lot of that it just has to do quite a bit, I guess, with what you were brought up thinking,
right.
or,
What your beliefs
or how your
are.
thinking is.
Right, what your beliefs are. And I work a lot with beliefs because beliefs are the biggest stoppers. Some of the top beliefs are, I'm not good enough, I'm not important, money is bad.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one.
Yeah, so I work a lot around money beliefs, because if you truly have these beliefs, then you're operating from them. And if you've got the belief, I'm not good enough, then that's definitely going to impede your confidence. And if your confidence is impeded, you're less likely to take action, to put yourself out there, because you feel like you might get rejected or people will think that you're a fraud or a phony. And so as we clear these beliefs and they're no longer operating with this idea, it really opens up everything for them.
And people will actually put a governor on themselves as far as income level and things like that.
Right.
And if they happen to get above it, they'll do everything they can to get back to where they were.
Yeah,
that happens with lottery a lot.
Unconsciously sabotage, right, with the lottery winners.
Yeah, lottery winners, they'll win the lottery and then they'll lose it or get rid of it or whatever, and to get right back to where they were, because
they feel like they don't deserve it, they're not worthy of it. Or again, that money is bad in some way. So if you've got a lot of my clients, money is not spiritual, is a belief. And so if you have money but you want to be spiritual, then it's like, oh, I have money. If I have money, I can't be spiritual, so I have to get rid of it. So they'll either have a hard time attracting it in the first place, or if they do get it, they have a hard time really holding on to it, and it just falls away in unpredictable ways.
Right.
So we really have to work with those belief systems and begin to change them.
All right, and if someone's interested in working with you, what's the first step that they need to do?
Well, I would say the first thing that they should do is to go to my website, which is marketingmindsetandmanifesting.com, or the easier shortened URL is mmmcoach.com, and just go over the website, read through the testimonials of the types of people that I've worked with and how I've helped them. And I've also got a lot of free resources, business resources, practical as well as mindset resources on my website. I've got a free audio that they can download that helps them to understand these 3 principles of growing a business, using them. And then I offer a free consultation, business strategy session. So I have them fill out a questionnaire where we first of all help them to identify what some of their limiting beliefs are, and what what they want with their business, what they're experiencing now with their business, and then I go over it with them to help them to identify what are the biggest blockers, both the practical things that they're not doing in their business that they need to be doing, as well as the mindset things. And again, we can look at the limiting beliefs that they've identified and help them to see how those limiting beliefs have been negatively affecting what's going on with them. And then, I give them some resources to help them to, take some next steps to change what's not working on both the practical and the mindset aspect, and then share with them some ways that I might be able to help them either through some of my teleclasses or a home study system, one-on-one coaching with me. I'm developing a group coaching program now as well, so that there's some people who just don't have the time or the the finances right now to hire me one-on-one, and so I'm developing these programs so that people can get me on a more limited basis, but still be getting the information that they need to start to move forward.
And if they decide they want to work with you, how long? I know everybody's going to be different and all different level of problems, but how long does it take before they start seeing results typically?
Well, again, that's going to vary from person to person, but my goal is that they're going to start to see results right away. Sometimes I'll just do a VIP day with a client, so we're together for either virtually or in person for about 5 hours. There's 2 hours and then a 1 hour break and then 2 hours. And we just do a lot of stuff all at once, give them a lot of information and to start off with. We work on the mindset, we work on the practical aspects as well. And then some people work with me after that usually I'll start off with 6 months, so that they can make sure that they're implementing what we came up with in the VIP day, as well as new things that have to be integrated along the way. Some people just do a 6-month coaching with me and don't do the VIP day. And now, like I said, I'm developing the teleseminars and the home study system, so that people can still get the benefit of some of this initial information and start to run with it. And then if they need additional support, then they have some of the other options.
Well, I know that you've been the best of the beach winner in a number of categories for years and everything, and very accomplished. Is there something, we could talk all day because these are topics I'd like to talk about, but is there something that we haven't covered that you'd like to mention? I'm afraid to bring up some topics because we would be here all day.
Well, I think the main thing is, we talked about the manifesting, but as far as the mindset goes, is to really help people to understand how crucial it is for them to work on that and to spend time and money on their personal development and not just on the business development and not just on their skill. That this is one of the biggest problems that I find is they're spending money on getting better at their skill, but they're not spending any money on developing their business and developing themselves and their mindset. Because what happens is when we're not getting the results that we want, what we go after is the thing that we think is creating that, which is the actions we're taking, right? So the actions we take create the results that we're getting. So what most people do to change their results is they look at what actions am I taking and how can I change that? So again, they're going at a more of a conscious level. But what is guiding the actions they're taking? It's the thoughts they have and the emotions. Okay, because we don't act on all our thoughts, we only act on the thoughts that have strong emotion behind them, either positive or negative. And then that's what creates the energy to put us into motion to take the action. So if the action isn't where it needs to be, we need to go after the thoughts and the emotions in order to change the actions permanently. Otherwise, again, we'll just have temporary change, and then the results will eventually go back to what they were. So this is what I do with people with the mindset. It's help them to change the thoughts and the emotions so that the actions naturally change, and when that happens, the results naturally change.
Because this is, now a lot of the people I've talked to are in business, coaches and things like that. They talk about mindset quite a bit. I haven't had anybody talk about that level. before. So that's really, really quite interesting.
Yeah, and you know what differentiates me from other business coaches, because there's a lot of business coaches in the area and around. I work with some really amazing business coaches, is a lot of them don't even go after, talk about the mindset element. But even those who do, the majority of them don't have really specific tools to change the mindset. They're still working at a conscious level, trying to help people think differently by just talking at them and giving them different perspectives. But what I do is practical techniques like the hypnosis, the neurolinguistic programming, the emotional freedom technique that very quickly and more easily change the brain so that the change is more permanent. And unless you use some of these tools and you're still working at the conscious level, it's going to be a long road to make those changes, and usually again you'll go right back to the old patterns.
Well, again, there's a lot of topics we could talk about, but what I think I've learned, or I know from years of doing reading, is that there's a lot of science behind all of this. This is not just a guess.
Right.
This isn't someone's idea. There's science to back up things. There's quantum physics is amazingly very supportive of this, and gives reasons behind it. So, because sometimes I think their barrier is, I don't believe it.
Right.
And I don't believe it's even possible. But then when they look at the science, they go, oh, well, Einstein talked about this.
Right.
Or whatever. And so then all of a sudden that gives it some credibility to at least look into it.
Exactly.
So I encourage people to do that. So
yeah, I try to bring it out of the ethereal level and into the science-based level so that people can understand it. So I'm constantly reading and educating myself on the science behind this and the latest science that's coming out all the time that most people have no idea is happening.
Right.
And because again, we have to get it out of the ethereal and help people to understand it in a practical way that makes sense to them, so that they're open to exploring it and having the benefits of utilizing it.
Well, when you start looking into it, it's like, wow.
Yeah, Pandora's box, right?
It is. It's like Pandora's box, and it's really amazing. And some of it you have a hard time getting your head around, but and it's good to hear that there's someone that's taken those tools and helping business owners with it. It's one of the goals of this program is to promote small business,
Right.
and so anything we can put out there that would help other business owners, that's a good idea. They haven't chosen to go that route, they might want to look into that.
Yep.
So, all right, well, if you have a business or actually just have things in your life that you'd like to change, and you'd like to change it on a deeper level and to get results and quit repeating the same patterns that you've had over and over and over, all of us do, then give Lisa a call. Her contact information is at the end of this video and on the bottom of this page. Visit the website. There's all kinds of information there to give you a good idea what she does and what she can offer you. And I believe you had a special offer that you're going to put on the page too?
Yes, so that's for the business strategy session, because right now my business is very, very busy, so I have openings for about 5 people right now. Now, obviously, if somebody's seeing this, at a later date, basically all they need to do is fill out the application on my website, and then I'll contact them to let them know if I have any openings to do the business strategy session and set that up. We can do it, well, I always do it over the phone, so even if I'm working with somebody locally, I tend to work with them over the phone because it's just much more efficient. You don't have to spend as much time. So again, they can look on the website for my information about setting up the business strategy session.
Okay. All right. So that coupon is on this page as well. So give Lisa a call, and I'm sure you'll be amazed. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Rory.
And it's very interesting talking with you. And I
Great to
wish
talk
you a
with you
great
too.
deal of success.
Thank you.
All right.
You too. Bye-bye.